Roger, Roger. Well, this morning we have as our guest on QSO Vlog, Bill, who is on board the Queen of the Mississippi. Bill, are you the captain of that vessel?
I'm just a tourist.
Just a tourist. Well, tell me about the boat and where it's headed.
This one's going to be heading up to St. Louis, and we'll turn around and going back to Pittsburgh and all the, or most of the towns along the river here, such as Louisville and Cincinnati and Maysville and some of the others that we've hit along the way. I'm just going to be doing back-to-back on this thing.
Roger, Roger. And tell me about the boat. Describe the boat, if you would. Is it a paddle wheeler?
Paddle wheeler. It's about 300 feet long. Holds 150 people. I think on board right now, or 115, I believe they said. And nicely decorated, nice little boat. It's not as big as the one I was on 2 years ago, which was the Queen. Was the American Queen. That boat was about 120, 130 feet longer. Had a little more amenities than this one does, as far as 2 restaurants and 3 bars and a good-sized theater that would hold about 300 or 400 people, and a dance floor and so forth. This one's very nice, but there aren't as many amenities on it as I would have liked to have had over.
Roger. Now you headed upriver or downriver?
Heading up to St. Louis now.
Roger, Roger. And what was your port of debarkation?
We left Pittsburgh. I'm from the Pittsburgh area, about 60 miles from Pittsburgh. That's the reason. The only reason I'm on this ship is that I just had to drive in from the little town of Stallstown, 60 miles away. So I didn't have to worry about any planes, trains, buses, or otherwise to get here. And that's the only reason I'm on this ship.
Roger that. Now, do you get 3 squares a day on shipboard, or do you have to stop to eat, or how's that go?
It's 3 meals a day, and where I'm sitting now, there's a little area where they have some cookies and pies and soft drinks and so on and so forth in this one end of the ship. But they have a full-size dining room. It'll seat 150, 3 meals a day, and they have entertainment at night in the one lounge, and serve, your alcoholic beverages, etc. Over.
Roger that. Now, what aspect of the journey on that type of vessel most appeals to you?
The thing I like about it is it's not big and mammoth like some of the ships. I won't go on any kind of ship larger than about 2,000 people. That's about the minimum I want to get involved with. I just got back in April from doing an 84-day cruise in the Caribbean from January 6th to April 4th on the New Amsterdam from Holland, America. That's the longest trip I've done. I've been doing these cruises for the last 10 years since my wife died, but the 12 weeks on that ship was the longest I've done. I normally do 6 to 8, but want to get out of the weather. Over.
Roger. Well, I guess after, about 2 months on board ship, you're ready to get on land and stretch your legs.
We're down in the Caribbean, and we get off some of the islands. Believe it, Jim, I think I got off eight times this last trip with the 84 days. Got off in the Virgin Islands a couple of times, and Tortola, well, that's the Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, and Aruba, St. Kitts Nevis, and Curacao, and Bonaire. Over.
Well, they got some great shortwave stations on some of those islands. Curacao, I think they have one of the major shortwave outlets there. I don't know if you follow shortwave much.
Not really. I used to before I got licensed here 28, 29 years ago. I used to do a little shortwave listening, but haven't really done it in the past.
Roger, Roger. So, and after you hit St. Louis, what's destinations past that?
Turn around and head back to Pittsburgh. So I'm just doing back-to-back for 10 days each way.
Roger, Roger. Well, that's pretty good. And I heard your call from the ship there, the the Queen of the Mississippi. No relation to the Mississippi Queen, I guess.
Oh, I don't. I think that's a different country, different company, if I'm not mistaken. And the only other one I've been had any experience with was the American Steamboat Company, which has the American Queen and the American Eagle and the American Duchess, and they have the 3 paddle boats. One does the Columbia Snake River. The new one, the Duchess, I'm not sure where it goes, and the Queen, which is the one I took, does New Orleans up to the St. Louis area and back over.
Roger, Roger. And what's your radio situation there?
Now I'm just using a little, what the heck is this thing? FT60 144 and 440 handheld.
Roger, Roger. I was doing a good job. You are totally quiet and good modulation. And Bill, I want to thank you for joining us on QSO Vlog. Anything that you want to add to that we haven't run across yet?
Can't think of anything. I'll be back down this way, in another 10 days or so. So I'll probably get a hold of one of you guys here in the near future. By the way, do you think we could make it from your place to the ship here on Simplex?
I think so. I would think so. But now 4 watts. Your output is about 4 watts?
The 5 watts, supposedly, whatever they say.
Might be able to. I currently have my Stack 7s up towards Cincinnati. I had a little QSO this morning with up in the Cincinnati area, but I could pull them around there and we could see if we could make contact if you'd like.
Try, what do you want to try, 146.5 too?
Roger, Roger. I'll see you there in a couple of minutes. I got to get my antenna around.
Hey, take me a second to figure out how to turn this thing from fixed to manual operation here. I'll get back to you in a minute or so.
All right, I'll join you on 146.520. In case of any problems, we'll meet back here.
850, I'll meet you back here if I don't catch you.
Roger, KC9VKV, QSY to 146.520. And this is Jim, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, on 146.520, standing by for Bill on the Queen of the Mississippi.
Okay, Jim, KC9VFW, do copy. You're not quite as well, but I do copy.
Roger, Bill, you're pretty noisy this way. Pretty noisy. You're in there, but you are a bit noisy.
Well, I'm inside the ship right now, Jim. I was when I first contacted you earlier. I was up on the open deck in the stern, but right now I'm down below inside the room, surrounded by a lot of metal.
Roger. If you have a porthole, if you try a porthole, you might try up against the porthole, Roger. Or I could stand by while you go up on deck. I could stand by while you're up on deck if that's what you would want to do.
No, how do you copy now? I'm at the stern of the ship looking out the back.
Oh, Roger, Roger. I've got 5 lights on you, sir.
Good. Well, Jim, tell me a little about yourself. Are you still working, retired, and what did you do, etc.?
Well, I spent my first 50 years in commercial broadcasting and retired from that, and then opened a recording studio commercially for radio and TV commercials, primarily for a number of years, and then finally managed to totally retire and get into amateur radio, which I'd always wanted to do, but really, first there was the code requirement, and then it was just a matter of not having the time to do it. But after retirement, I did get my technician's license. Spent the first year on 10 meters, and I really enjoyed that. And then the second year, I got into UHF VHF, and in that first year on 10 meters, I met about 3 people locally, and then after that year, and I got onto UHF VHF, I met probably about 150 people in the first 2 weeks, Roger.
That's great. I got my license back in '89. Started out with my novice tech, and then went up. But my first contact was on a converted CP radio that a friend of mine, who was my sort of mentor, let me use for 2 or 3 weeks before I got my own radio. My first contact with a little ground plane antenna mounted on a basketball pole was a fellow in Japan, a doctor in Japan in Tokyo. That was my first contact and my first QSL card.
Roger. Now, Bill, tell me, you weren't on with 5 watts, I bet.
That was no. I think he juiced up to 7 watts, but it wasn't much more than 5.5 to 7 watts.
Is that right? Well, you surely did have some extraordinary luck making overseas contact on 7 watts on 11 meters. I'll tell you.
That was 10 meters. That was 10 meters. It was a converted radio. It was a converted radio.
Roger. Well, not a dime's worth of difference between 10 and 11 frequency-wise, being able to make the trip with like 7 watts, you know.
Very, very true. But that, as I say, that was my first DX contact. My first card was, he was a doctor, some doctor in Tokyo. And since then, since I have graduated up to HF, all the HF bands now, I've talked just about everywhere in the world I can think of.
Roger, what's your favorite band?
I like 40. I think you and I can do 40. I like 60 meters, nice clean band, not a lot of traffic and a lot of BS, shall we say. I think you know what we're talking about on 40. And do a little 10, 12, 15 every now and a little bit of 20. But I do enjoy 40 and 60.
Roger. Now I don't touch 60. I don't understand 60 too much. I think there are some requirements to meet there, so and I never can remember quite what they are. So I usually do 40. I just got me a 20 dipole inverted V, and I've been working on the SWR. And I got my 40 and my 20 dipoles down to 1.01 to 1, so I'm real happy about that. And then I had 3 10-meter antennas left over from my my beginnings on 10 meters as a technician. I have a full-wave loop on a rotor. It's a square, actually a rectangular loop antenna, 10 foot on the horizontal, 8 foot on the vertical, with a rotor underneath it that I can run that that loop around for maximum smoke. And then I've got a 5/8, that's about 25 feet in the air, and then a side-mounted quarter wave, which is about 40 feet in the air. And I've got all my antennas. I've got an antenna tuner that I have to use on 80, but all my other antennas I can go direct on the tuner and pick up a rotary switch to select all my other antennas. Roger?
Roger, you sound you have a nice collection there, Jim. I have I'm using a Yaesu at home, an FT950. It's my second radio. My wife bought me a 767GX. It finally died on me after about 21 years, so I bought the 950 here. Been very, very happy with it. And I have 2 handhelds. This one I'm on now, then the little EX8 that covers 6'2", 1 1/4, and 70 centimeters. I use it also, but that one is now being charged up. I used it quite a bit in Cincinnati, and the darn thing died on me, so I'm charging it up. But I do a little bit of UHF, VHF, but mainly on sideband. I don't like repeaters particularly. A little bit of FM simplex, but generally on sideband on 6'2", 1 1/4, and 70 centimeters.
Oh, roger that. Roger that. Well, I'm pretty much an explorer on repeaters, particularly DX repeaters. I've got 7 VHF antennas around the house, 3 towers, 5 rotors, and 4 20-foot push-up pipes with single 7 Yagis on those. but the one tower has my stack 20s and my stack 7s. They're on the same crossboom. The 7s are on either end, and the stack 20s are spread across the middle. And with that one, I can do pretty well. Although, you know, sometimes in marginal signals, I'll bring four Yagis around to the same target and take the best one. This morning I was working Cincinnati, which is just over 100 miles. But my best range to date is a little over 400 miles to Mount Mitchell in North Carolina, right beside Asheville, Roger.
And what frequencies, what band is that on?
That's on VHF.
Okay, yeah, I've worked a few stations in Texas and Florida and up into Nova Scotia on 2 meters. I've done about 600 miles on 1 1/4 and 70 centimeters, a couple hundred miles. And 2 meters, you know, is hit and miss. Sometimes you do some decent things on 2 meters, sometimes you don't. And or 6 meters is, you know, open warfare when it opens up. Over.
Roger, Bill, I get you to work just a little closer to Mike, just a tad. Yeah, it's really amazing. I've just discovered this VHF propagation map on the internet, and man, that thing is in real time and just shows you absolutely what the condition patterns are across the country.
Yeah, I never got really involved in those things. I don't have any of that at home to deal with. But 6 meter used to be my favorite band, and when I got my license 28, 29 years ago, it was wide open. You could talk to, you know, Timbuktu on a half a watt. Over.
Roger. Now, I am just barely into 6 meters. This guy, I guess, was cleaning out his Radio Shack, and I wound up with 16 Motorola Maritracks. Those are the 100-watt truck mount jobbers for a couple of $100. And they were all different kinds and all different states of condition, but there were 2 that were operational in the 6 meter band. And so I did get those up, and I got me a 6 meter full wave loop on a rotor and a horizontal and 6 meter antenna on top of that. So I can rotate my 6 meter antennas, but I am kind of restricted to FM 6 meters, which is not exactly where the action is, Roger.
No, it really, but you do get most of the activities around 125 up to about 250. Mostly the sideband activity on 6. Little DXing below 125 on Puerto Rican stations, South Africa, South American stations at 125, 130. But anywhere between 125 to 160 you'll find
Bill, I did lose most of that. I think you got askew to the antenna or something. You were unintelligible most of that one. You copy me okay?
Yeah, maybe I should just turn around. Maybe I was just facing the wrong way. How do you copy any better now?
Oh, I got you again. Yeah, that's the thing about, you know, the 4 watts, 5 watts, 6 watts. You kind of have to hold your mouth just right if you're working a distance. This particular repeater is up in the knobs, which are about 900 feet or so above average terrain. But it's kind of on the back lip of the knob, so it's not quite as effective. There's another one that happened, you know, I think we were talking about that one earlier, the 940, which is on this side of the edge of the ledge up in the knobs, but I think it's down for whatever reason. But like I say, this one is on the back side, so it does favor going better north than south, Roger.
Well, it's sounding good. I'll tell you, it's sounding good right now, Jim. KA3VFW. Tell you what, can you do 440 at 44600 by chance?
Let's see. I really can't. I have Motorola right now on UHF. You know, that's a tune down the road. I can do 444-200. How does that work? Or maybe there's a simplex frequency you would want to try?
That's a simplex frequency, or of course on this band you're not going to be talking to a million people, so we could almost go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what antenna I've got. Okay, I would have to pull my my stacks around. Let me give you a frequency that I have on this Motorola. Let's see here. Let me find the. I have a million cheat sheets. You know, it's just tough to keep them all. If I had them on computer, it would really be nice, but unfortunately, I don't. But I'm getting close. I can just about tell. All right, if you would like, let's see where we are here. I'm close. 446,000.
Yeah, that's the calling frequency.
Well, I also have 445,000, but 446,000 would do me well.
Let's give it a quick shot, and if not, I'll meet you back here in 2 meters.
All right, now this will take me a momento to pull around my stacks towards your location.
Okay, fine. Roughly how far are you from the crab shack here?
Let's see. I'm probably about 5 miles, 4 miles, something like that.
Okay, fine. Well, 440 might make it. Let's give it a try, Jim, and I'll see you there in a minute. KA3 Victor Fox Whiskey QSY.
Roger, Roger. And what we're going to do here is pull around to 446,000, and I've got to take my rotary around to that location, and we shall see what we shall see. Let's see, make sure I'm on the right frequency. Yes. And coming around to the south, and let me go to him now. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Front antenna, get my front dipole on. This is KC9VKV. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor on 44600. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor on 446. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor on 446. And nothing held on 446, and we'll be going back to I guess 146,520. This is KC9VKV.
Okay, Jim, I copied you fairly well, but just beating the ship here and with a little bit of power, you were able to hear me, but you were coming in pretty well.
Oh, Roger, I'm sorry, I couldn't copy you there, sir.
I was just... Wait, what frequency are we on now?
146,520 simplex.
Okay, I just had it up 5 kcs, a little high. I was just saying that I could hear you fairly well. A little bit on the soft side, but you were very readable. But beating the ship with the 5 watts, I'm sure you were able to hear me.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And I was on the max track, which I'm not real sure of the sensitivity of the squelch set. If I'd have been on my regular UHF radio, I would have been able to take the squelch, open the squelch up and listen in the noise.
Okay, fine. Well, I'll tell you what, I see it's pushing almost lunchtime here. I want to run back to the room and put this thing back in charge position and maybe get the other radio. Are you going to be on later today?
Maybe. I would probably be up on that 850 if I were. Roger?
Is that 147 or 146, 850?
146. Let me make sure about that. 146,850. Roger, Roger.
Okay, well, might try you up there. If not, I'll try you down here and so forth. Thanks, Jim. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you hopefully in an hour or two. KA3VFW, Marine Mobile.
Roger, Roger, Bill. 3's to you, sir. Good QSO, and enjoyed it. That's Bill on the Queen of the Mississippi in QSO this morning. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor.